to be my guinea pigs in an exercise that's part of a longer workshop. And first of all, I want to say thank you very much to both of you. You guys are both amazing gems, and this club is lucky to have both of you as part of the members. It was a little, I apologize for being a little bit sloppy and loose and maybe not real workshopy, but it served my purpose, which was to sort of throw some stuff out there and see how people responded, and I did find a little gem. The intention of the exercise that I actually wasn't going to actually offer with these guys yesterday was around the topic of listening, and the intention of the exercise that I put together was with regards to how we respond when we listen. The idea being that there's an infinite variety of ways to respond at any given time, and we have patterns of behavior where we respond to sort of the same way a lot. And if you want to change the outcome of something, if you're in some way, shape, or form trying to change something for yourself, then we need to consider how we respond, because it's all those little responses that build the life and build our reality, right? Okay, so I came up with this exercise, and I found a hidden gem in it. Let's see if you can too. If you guys would get in pairs, face to face, you're going to do sort of a back and forth thing. If you're at a table with three, see if you can find a pair. If you have three at a table, you can probably work it out. You can work with each other. Awesome. So, we're going to start with somebody who's going to be the speaker. So one of the two or three, raise your hands, and then you are, one of the pair, raise your hand. Each pair, somebody raise their hand. You are going to be the speaker. All that means is that you're going to start, but we're going to start it that way. And the speaker is going to make a statement. It can be a simple statement, it can be complex, but let's just keep it relatively brief. It can be charged, or it can be very benign. So the speaker is going to make a statement. The listener is going to take that information in and give a response, which is also going to be a statement. The only rule that the listener has in responding is that their response, a statement, can have nothing to do with what the speaker said. So it might look something like this. Trees have green leaves. Oh, here's another rule. It doesn't have to be factual. Monkeys love to fly in the air. Okay? And then you keep going. We're going to keep going back and forth for 15 or 20 seconds. And there's no right and wrong here. Just take a second, consider it, give your response, and then let it roll a little bit and see what happens. All right, ready? Give it a try.
Today was a beautiful day.
I like trying. You know,
I don't like brown rugs.
The Super Bowl was a wonderful experience.
experience.
You know, I really like robins.
You like what?
Robins, the birds.
The sky is blue.
You know, pigs could fly.
I was going to wear
Something to see.
my blue uniform, but I wore my black one instead.
My car is a piece of junk.
I like the ambience, all this ambience.
Excellent. I heard the talk start to die down a little bit there after a moment, right? So anybody want to, I won't take too many people, but anybody want to sort of share a bit of their experience, something that happened, if they kind of did it or failed, or how it felt?
Yeah. It's a lot easier to reply than to come up with a totally off-the-wall statement that has nothing to do with what you just said.
Right. Anybody else?
You almost have to block out what they're saying and just think of your own response while they're even talking, not even pay attention to what
That's
they're
one
saying.
way to do it. Just block them out, right? Okay. I think I got enough time. We're going to amp it up a little bit. All right? We're going to stay in your pairs, and we're going to do fundamentally the same exercise, okay? Except this time, you have to ask a question. Okay? Because if you want to draw somebody in, if you're trying to get somebody's attention, if you're trying to have them pay attention to you, if you want to engage somebody, asking questions is the best way to do it. Why? Because we all love to be heard. right? And that's why it's so difficult to listen, because we really are looking for chances to tell everybody about how great we are, or our thoughts on this, or add on to things, or make ourselves right. So this time we're going to do the same thing. You ask a question, then the other person needs to ask another question that again has nothing to do with the original question. And you know what? Work them a little bit. Come on, see if you can get these people. Like, put a little emotion into it. Get them charged up. See if you can't get their attention and force them to like, I have to work. All right, ready, go.
Today was a beautiful day.
So tell me a lot about yourself.
Quick question.
I've always
No, keep going. Just keep going.
to use the word of the week. Do I have to answer the question?
No, I think you gotta ask me a question.
Oh,
Why
okay.
was a beautiful day?
I don't like rainy days.
Why was it a beautiful day? Why was it a beautiful day?
Because it's one day before I go on a business trip and I don't have to be in the office.
Go ahead. Give me.
Go ahead, Darrell.
Well, to answer your question,
Oh, you gotta ask me a
Ask
question.
him a question.
You gotta bring me out.
what do you, what would you first come in as Toastmasters?
No, it's gotta be about a beautiful day, doesn't it have to be?
Wind it up.
Oh, okay. Which, what do you especially like about the beautiful?
Why is it beautiful? Again, because I don't have to go to the office for the next 3 days. And I get to stay in a hotel and watch cable TV that I don't have. I have just basic, but I get all the channels.
Stop now.
But it's raining.
Sense of control.
So, how was that? I heard a lot of laughter out there. Come on, tell me what's going on. What was funny? What was difficult? Go ahead.
When you're asked a question, sometimes the knee jerk is you want, if you're going to ask a question back, it's going to be on the topic.
Right.
It's hard to go off in a different
Right.
direction.
Right. So what do you have to do? How did you overcome that? Not stop yourself from reacting, but what was your process for managing that reaction?
I did have to process what the question was and then stop and go in a different direction. And going in a different direction is not that hard for me.
Right. Thank you, John. Anybody else? Did everybody hear what John's response was? Okay. Anybody else have some feedback or some observation on that? Kathy.
Well, when Tana mentioned something, then I wanted to know more.
Right.
And so I kind of did this timeout so that I could ask her about it because I want.
Oh, you amended the rules.
I did.
Okay, good for you. You did a little like, wait a minute. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So my lights are coming on, so I'm going to try. I'll wrap this up. What the amazing thing I found out about this, the gem that I found out about in doing this, which, like I said, was something I kind of threw out there as a little side thing, was after we messed around with it yesterday, I sort of, later in the day, thought about it, I was like, holy smokes, my intention around this was about the response, right? But what I observed, and as we were going through it, was it really, because you're going to not think about what they said, you actually really listen. Right? So you start to actually stop and listen because now your intention is to follow the rules, which is don't talk about what they say. Right? So it really becomes this amazing exercise in listening. Unless you're Patrick or Tiffany, just block it out and come up with your own stuff all the time, but that's all right. That's a process also. Right? And then this morning as I was messing around a little bit, it kind of expanded a little bit more, that the entire process that you guys just went through is effective communication. You actually stop and listen. You're not attached to it because you're not going to respond to them. So you've already dropped your emotional knee-jerk reaction kind of stuff, or at least become extremely aware of it, and don't just roll with it, right? And then third, you give a mindful response. In this case, it's kind of silly that you're going to respond in a way that doesn't have anything to do with what they say. But that process right there is effective, mindful communication. And it just kind of came out of this little thing I scratched out and threw out yesterday. It really was kind of a beautiful thing. So my ask of you is this, that you take that process and toss out kind of the non-subject engaging part of it, and practice that a little bit in your communication and your conversations as you go forward a little bit. Because wouldn't it be great if we all did that a little bit more? And, I know my red light's on, but I'm going to use it anyway, is that technique potentially a good technique to use at some point? I switched the topic of the speech title to how to avoid lawnmower conversations, and I kind of had this idea of like, you're in some social circle and you run into that person who you meet every time that corners you and starts talking about their lawnmower, and the four-wheel drive they have, and the 4 gears that it has, and it cuts the grass an inch and a half short, and they go on and on and on. Wouldn't it be great to be like, hey, I was at the zoo the other day and I saw a giraffe with a short neck. Right? They're going to stop talking right then and there. Right? Or, if you really are in a place, in a battle with somebody that you really care about, family, friends, significant others, right? And you get in that loop, and guess what? Nobody's hearing me! Doesn't matter what they're saying, sometimes stepping out of character and coming up with something kind of absurd breaks that loop and breaks that cycle. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Jan, 60 seconds on the clock, please. And Jan, I think I need your listening class because mine listening sucks. Great job. Kathy, great job. Now that whenever I think of 96 feet, I think of how many John Masons is that? I think that's like 13.